Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with some more Elfnote. Today we are going to be taking a look at a new build. I'm finally off the day one build and updated it a little bit. The main difference is I actually took out Junora, because I just have never summoned it, and really never needed to once while actually playing this deck. So we're trying without it, but for our first duel, we're going to be up against Radiant Typhoon. This should be a pretty back and forth game from what I remember. Pretty standard opening with the Tinia here. We have a second Tinia in hand, so I'm just going to send that away with the Welcome Home, and then we get basically an extra body out of it. And then we can make the Barrel and Diffler before continuing with our combo line. Gonna just send away the Welcome Home with the Regina, summon her to the center zone to grab Fortuna. Fortuna, of course, will place the Rhapsidia, and then we can send away Fortuna to revive the Elfnote Power Patron, which I'm going to synchro with the Regina into Seraphim. Of course, we're making sure to save Regina for a synchro material, so that way she comes back to hand. And then we're putting Seraphim in the middle, that way it can revive Tinia, and then Tinia can swap in during the opponent's draw phase. So again, very typical Elfnote opener here. We're going to go Tinia during the draw phase, and they actually let me banish their Radiant Typhoon Vision. I thought this was a little bit weird. I think they must not have their toggle set to on. It must be on auto, because Vision as well as Chant, which we're about to go into here, really should have been activated during the draw phase to play around Droll. Now here they're going to try to use Chant to add a Mystical Space Typhoon from deck to hand, which obviously is going to try to destroy the Rhapsidia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revive the Fortuna with Rhapsidia and then negate the Chant. That way they don't get their Mystical Space Typhoon. And the reason I really want them off the Mystical Space Typhoon is so that way the Rhapsidia is on the field and they can't special summon Eldam and Swen from hand. However, once they use Chant, they can go for Crocea. I'm not going to negate the Crocea summon with Barrel and Diffler. Instead, what I'm going to do is get a draw out of Maxi. Then Crocea hits the board, and then I can Ash Blossom it, saving my Omni Negate for something a little more pertinent, which is actually going to be this Cross-Out Designator. I really cannot let this Crocea resolve, so we're going to use the Barrel and Diffler now. But definitely better to... I think a lot of people would have used Barrel to negate and destroy Crocea when it tried to summon from hand, but since we were holding Maxi and Ash Blossom, it's really pertinent to think about, the order you're using your disruptions, right? It's so easy to say, oh, you had Baron, Maxi, and Ash Blossom, how broken. But there is still proper sequencing that needs to be done. And again, I think a lot of people would have just used the Baron on the Crocea in hand, thereby not only losing out on the draw for the Maxi, but also you definitely want to use your more specialized disruptions, Ash Blossom can only be used against searching effects. Baron can be used against anything. So let's save Ash Blossom for the searching effect, and then that way Baron can be used against something later, like the Cross-Out again. So Crocea is going to get negated. Eldam did end up being in their hand. They're going to normal summon it and then add Swen. Now they're going to link Eldam plus Crocea into the Varun. I could have bounced with Lucinia. I probably should have done it there, but I wanted to see if they would try to summon a rank 3 or what they were going to do. Anyway, here we're going to go for the Regina. They are going to get access to the Mystical Space Typhoon. Regina is going to activate summoning another Lucina, and then Seraphim is going to summon out the Fortuna. They are going to MST the Rhapsidia, specialing Swen. Now Swen gets to activate adding Ascendance. Now here they activated Ascendance and summoned Crocea. I thought they might try to go for a Link 4 here, and really this was the best time, now that I already gave up the opportunity to bounce Eldam. This was the best opportunity I was going to have, I think, moving forward to use Lucina, so we'll use it to bounce Swen there. But it turns out they weren't going for a Link 4. What they were trying to do was set up the Fiendsmith line. They're going to pivot into the Moon of Closed Heaven using Varun plus Crocea. Then they're going to turn the Moon into the Fiendsmith's Requiem. It would also be really nice if I could get some actual hand traps here, instead of just a bunch of Theo Realizes and Super Polys, but we can still disrupt them with what we have on board. We do finally find a Ghost Spell, and when they equip the Requiem, we're going to use Fortuna's effect to bounce it. That way they aren't able to go into Necroquip and then continue their line into Caesar. So they're going to end up making a Typhoon. Typhoon's going to activate, detaching to bounce the Barrel back to my extra deck, and then it's going to battle over Fortuna. So, yeah, I lose out on my Center Main Monster Zone card, but as they go to end their turn, and I begin mine, they're actually going to concede before I even draw a card. Because, I mean, we have overwhelming board and hand advantage, 4 monsters on field and 8 cards, soon to be 9 in hand, to their, what, 1 face down card, their 1 Typhoon, and 1 card in hand. Yeah, there was no way we weren't winning that game. So, there we go. That's a pretty good example of us setting up against Brilliant Typhoon and taking the dub. Let's take a look at the next game. Okay, here's a going second game against Cool Tune. I played against a lot of Cool Tune during my climb here, which, you know, it can be a little bit of a tough matchup if they get the back-to-back or the RS on board. That level modulation effect really can hurt you sometimes, but that aside, I don't really think it's that bad of a matchup. So they're going to normal summon Cool Tune Mix. I'm going to chain the Effect Veiler in order to negate. Obviously, do not want them to be searching. However, it's always important to know that even if you negate a Cool Tune monster's effect, they can still synchro with something from hand. So I'm going to summon out the Regina here. It's going to get hit with the Ash Blossom. My plan was to use Regina to special summon Lucina from deck, and then Lucina would have swapped with the Regina, bouncing the Cool Tune Mix. That way, my opponent cannot synchro summon with it and something in hand. Again, even though Mix is negated, that is still something they can do. However, it seemed that Ash Blossom was about the only thing they could tune with because they just ended up passing. Really lucky for me. So we're going to begin the turn with Theo Realize. We're going to send away Medius the Pure. Medius the Pure is going to activate. Now that looks really weird, right? You might be like, Hex, what are you doing? Why would you put back Ash Blossom and not the Effect Veiler? If they, you know, max C you or will charm you, then you don't have an Ash Blossom and you can't even use Veiler on your turn. Well, they already have a monster on the board, so they're not going to will charming me. If they had Maxi, they would have used it already, I think, against the Medius effect. I think like, they would have chained it. And the main reason I want Effect Veiler is so that I can tune with the Regina and make a level 7. And in fact, we're going to need to do that here in just a second, because they are going to have an Effect Veiler for my Medius the Pure. However, we're not done using Medius to combo. Because we have Theo Realize, we can simply turn Medius into a Light Fiend and then just do Fiendsmith stuff anyway. That's why I think Theo Realize is like definitely the better card to open than Medius. It's so good when you're on the Fiendsmith engine, just to be able to do this anyway. Now, they do end up having another Ash Blossom, so they chose to hold it instead of going into Remix, which does actually kind of make sense, but they're not going to be able to stop me anymore, unless this last card is also a hand trap, but spoiler alert, it's not. We're going to normal summon Effect Veiler, synchro with the Regina, summon the Seraphim, not in the center zone. Then we can go Regina effect, add it back, Seraphim's going to activate, and they're going to chain their last card, Effect Veiler. So I'm not able to revive the Fortuna. However, I mentioned earlier, it doesn't actually matter even if the last card is another negate, because we can send away the Seraphim with the Regina. We have not used the effect yet, so we'll summon her to the center zone. Seraphim revives Fortuna. Now Regina activates to summon Lucina. Now we can activate the Lucina, and that was actually a pretty bad misplay on my part. We definitely were supposed to go for Tinia there. Tinia for Welcome Home, and then Welcome Home could have sent away the well, anything really in order to pull out the Lucina, but my opponent conceded, so it didn't matter. Oh, gotta love when your misplays just do not end up mattering. To be fair, even with that misplay, we still would have had multiple disruptions up, and our opponent would have had like total top deck mode, right? They would have had nothing in hand or field, so I think we would have been fine. But in any case, let's take a look at the next duel. Okay, mentioned that we had a lot of Cool Tune games. Here's another one. This time we are going to be going first, though. But let's see if they end up having anything funny for us, like hand traps or clip into RS or something. Gotta love opening Maxi plus Ash Blossom yet again. We're going to lead with normal summon Medius the Pure, summoning the Elfnote Power Patron from the deck. Then we're going to tune into the Armades, Keeper of the Boundaries. And of course, they'll trigger the Elfnote Power Patron effect. They are going to respond with Clip. However, I'm going to chain Max C, because I will get a draw for the Clip summon, and then if they choose a Synchro summon, I'll get another draw, which they don't end up Synchro summoning, and I think might have been partially influenced to me playing Max C, because during the actual like live game itself, they thought about it for a second. It wasn't just an immediate passing priority back to me, but yeah, we're going to go Requiem into the Engraver, and then we're going to equip to the Engraver. I'm on the minimal Fiendsmith package, so we're just going to go for Necro Equip here. Yeah, I think unless, because I see a lot of Fiendsmith Elfnote builds using Sequence, but they're just like summoning Caesar and not doing anything else anyway. And I think if you're only summoning Caesar with the Fiendsmith line and not doing anything else, you really should just be on Necroquip in the more minimal package. Because basically you're losing main deck and extra deck slots for no reason by going like Sequence and, you know, Lacrime of the Crimson Tears and Lurian Tract. Because again, if all you're doing is summoning Caesar, you can do that with only 1 Engraver in the main deck and 4 extra deck slots, as opposed to the more standard engine, which eats 5 main deck slots and 5 extra deck slots. You could be playing more hand traps, you could be playing Super Poly, which we are actually on in this build. I just think it's really pertinent. I see so many people on Sequence, Lurie, and Tract, and I'm just like, but why though? It just doesn't, if you're making Caesar, it just doesn't make that much sense to me. But anyway. So we're going to use Tenia to end up ripping the mix from hand. We're going to go Lucina during the draw phase as well, but they're going to chain Cool Tune Synchro. So obviously my plan here is to bounce the clip so that way they can't main phase their first action, just perform a Synchro summon with it. But yeah, of course, if they go Cool Tune Synchro, we can simply chain the High Caesar. The Ash Blossom can negate a ton of things, obviously a little bit more than the Caesar. So again, we're choosing the slightly more specialized negate over the more generalized one. Also, Caesar being on the field is more susceptible to being negated or removed before I can use both of its materials as opposed to the Ash Blossom in hand. So yep, Caesar is going to negate the Cool Tune Synchro. Lucina is going to swap with the Tenia, now still during the draw phase, and bounce the clip so they can't synchro with it right away. They're going to end up normal summoning Cool Tune Q. I'm definitely going to use Caesar because Caesar both negates and destroys. So not only do they not get to summon from deck, but also they no longer have a body on board to synchro with. And now they have nothing left to do, they are going to concede. Again, I think the order in which you use these disruptions super matters, and so few players actually talk about it. People just be like, oh, you made Caesar plus whatever and board with a hand trap, how could you not lose? Well, there are actually a lot of ways where you could throw. I've played more than my fair share of ranked ladder games where I'm looking at the total of disruptions, you know, my opponent had by the time I pushed through them all, and I'm like, you definitely could have stopped me if you used these in the right order. But anyway, I got at least one more game to finish off with. Let's go into that one. So I did have another Cool Tune game, but it was just a one-turn replay, and I was like, I have this little bit more of a back-and-forth game against Exosister. Let's finish off with that one instead. All right. Yeah, in this game, you can see that we are, in fact, on Super Polymerization. By cutting Junora, as well as a couple of other cards from the extra, it actually wasn't that hard to make room for your Super Poly targets. So here they are going to end up using Imperm on my Lucina, and with only another Lucina in my hand, I can't really continue to combo off here. So I'll set Imperm, Super Poly, and pass. They're going to go Martha, summon out Ellis. I'm going to flip up Super Poly right away, sending away Fulos. Definitely do not want them to overlay. And we'll make the Garura. Now they're going to normal summon Stella. I'll wait for her to activate the effect before I use Imperm. And knowing Exosister, what I do about them, I don't think they have many other extenders they could use here. So yeah, sure enough, they are just going to end up passing. Obviously, insanely good for me. Drawing for turn, we find Elfnote Power Patron. We're going to activate Lucina, and they're going to Ash Blossom. But I want to note that even... Oh, no, sorry. It's because, yeah, I already have Lucina in hand. I was about to be like, even if I didn't have Elfnote Power Patron, I could summon Lucina, and it's like, oh wait, that's the same one I have on board. Right. So, no, that would have actually stopped me without the Elfnote Power Patron, but we can just normal summon. And then I'll activate to raise the level, so that way we can make a Baron de Fleur. And then keep on comboing with the Omni Negata, which my opponent's going to concede to right away. Yeah, it was 3 turns, but I guess it wasn't the most back and forth game. The other replay that I had, you know what, we have time. Let me just show you this last game, why not? Yeah, so as mentioned, this will just be a quick one-turn replay against Cool Tune. They're going to do some amount of turn 0 stuff against me. I don't remember exactly. Oh, this is the game where they go into Crackle. That's right, they're going to make Crackle on my turn. Okay, opening hand is looking really solid. We're going to begin with the Theo Realize, sending, of course, the Medius as cost, putting their card on bottom. Medius is going to put back the extra Tenia in order to summon. And then they're going to go for the Clip effect. Alright, so they are going to summon Clip and then tune with a Q, I believe, in hand. Yeah, Q, in order to make Crackle. We're going to summon Elfnote Power Patron. Now they're going to go Q, Chainlink 1, Crackle, Chainlink 2, Clip, Chainlink 3. So the random banish here is really annoying. It's Barrel and Defleur. It's one of the best possible random banishes they could have gotten. Now, I was actually really concerned as they were looking through my extra deck with Crackle, because I actually took out the Dragite as well as the Omega in order to make room for Super Poly targets, which means if they were to send away my Armades here, I wouldn't really be able to get my Elfnote Power Patron out of the center zone. I guess I could make Little Knight. I would have to make Little Knight to special summon Tinia, yeah, in order to continue playing here. But thankfully for me, they actually ripped the Seraphim. And I understand why they took this out. They're like, oh, it's Elfnote. This is Elfnote's boss monster. Let's banish that. But that actually was a pretty huge misplay. Because now not only can I still do Fiendsmith stuff, and I have Tinia in hand, so I can just do... Well, not even without Tinia in hand, I have the Power Patron to go full combo here. So not only can I do that, but also I can just summon Seraphim on my opponent's turn. By reviving the Elfnote Power Patron with Rhapsidia, I can then use Elfnote Power Patron's effect, buff the middle, monster, and then tune with a level 6 that's not in the middle in order to make Seraphim. So that didn't even cut me off from it altogether. But yeah, Q's gonna reveal Fuelos and Super Poly gets banished, Fuelos goes to top. We're gonna make Armades and then just pop off here. They really should have taken Armades, was the correct play here. Yeah, because again, without that, I would have had to have made Little Knight in order to be able to special summon Tinia from hand. Excuse me. Which of course would have been fine. It still would have been, full combo, but now I get to make Caesar on top of everything else. So once again, we're on the minimal package, so we're going for Engraver off the Requiem, and then making Necro Quip, reviving the Engraver. Now here is the Caesar. Bada bing, bada boom. And then we can still just special summon Tinia. Tinia F gonna place Welcome Home. We're gonna activate the Welcome Home, sending away the Fuelos in our hand for Lucina. Lucina, I guess I'll just add to Regina. There's not really much else I need here. And they're gonna concede, which makes sense. So yeah, there we go, pushing through that Crackle. Again, they really should have just taken Armades, but even if they had, we would have been fine, just because we had the Tinia in hand as well. So let me show you the updated build, and then we will finish off here. Okay, so here is my updated Fiendsmith Elfnote list. I changed around the hand trap ratios a little bit, but one of the biggest off-engine changes was the addition of a playset of Super Polymerization. I mean, what can I say? It's just so good in this metagame. How could you not want to play it if possible? And, excuse me. Yeah, as mentioned before, I cut Junora, Dragite, and Cyframe Lord Omega from my extra deck in order to make room for the 3 Super Poly targets. So that was easy enough. Honestly, I'm probably about to take out Link Spider and just put in Dragite again. That way we have that level 8 option, or maybe Omega, one of the two. Just some level 8 synchro option. And it's not like that many people are on Nibiru anyway. Link Spider is a good just in case you run across Nibiru, but I personally have not while playing Elfnote at all. So I would feel pretty comfortable taking it out. Let's see, what other changes? I think those are really just the major changes. Again, I did make some more minor adjustments to the hand trap lineup, including a full playset of Effect Veiler, which I do really like, for the reason that you saw in one of the earlier games, right? Where we had Veiler plus Regina, and we were able to tune those into Seraphim, and then pop off from there, returning the Regina to hand, and then special summoning her and pulling out more Elfnote monsters from deck. Yeah, I really like having the option to normal summon a level 1 tuner in this deck. So I think the 3 Effect Veiler is going to be here to stay. I think even if I were to make further adjustments to the hand trap ratios, I would probably cut at least 1 Imperm before one of these Veilers here for that option to, again, synchro with them. But oh, and the other kind of engine change I made is I went down to 1 Welcome Home. I was on 2. And you only need the 1, of course, but if you do find yourself wanting a few more ways to begin your combo line, you could always consider more copies of Welcome Home. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the build. As far as how I feel about Elfnote now that it's been a few weeks and it's really settled into the metagame, I really do feel like it is a tier 1 deck. Obviously, there are better decks out there, like obviously Cool Tune being the primary one. And you can even make some arguments for certain other decks being better. But I think Elfnote does end up being one of the stronger forces in the current meta, even if it's not at full power. Remember, we're still getting the Power Patron stuff as well as June Pride at some point in the future. But for the time being, I think this deck is still really, really strong right now. And I think that's also going to go ahead and do it for my coverage of it, for now at least. So thank you as always for watching, super appreciate your support. And now we're going to move on to our outro, that way we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.